Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm cracking a pack. Today is pack number 8 in my Magic the Gathering Zendikar Rising bundle. The focus of the video is, what is your pick? As I crack the pack, I will discuss which card would be my pack 1 pick one. My viewpoint will be from a very casual Magic the Gathering player perspective. It will not be a Pro Tour grinder or even Friday Night Magic grinder take. It will be a kitchen table draft having fun with friends' opinion. Check out the preview video on my Zendikar Rising bundle. I have added the link to the preview video in the description below. Let's get to cracking pack number 8. Mesa Lynx, 2 mana, 1 and a white, cat at 2/1. As long as it's not your turn, Mesa Lynx gets +0, +2. I don't like this card too much in limited. It doesn't seem to fit into any of the white strategies. It appears to be a defensive creature, and in white, you want to be attacking and aggressive. It would be much better if it had +2, +0 when it's your turn. Molten Blast, 3 mana, 2 and a red, instant. Choose one. Molten Blast deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or destroy target artifact. Having it be simply destroy target artifact would make the card unplayable, but adding another option to deal 2 damage to a creature or planeswalker put this card in your main deck instead of in your sideboard. Seafloor Stalker, 3 mana, 2 and a blue, Merfolk Rogue at 2/3. You can pay 5 mana, 4 and a blue. Seafloor Stalker gets +1, +0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. This ability costs 1 generic less to activate for each creature in your party. This is a sneaky good creature in limited. If you can have a good number of creatures in your party, the activated ability becomes pretty easy to do 2 or 3 times later in the game. Hagrid Constrictor, 3 mana, 2 and a black, creature snake at 0/0. Hagrid Constrictor enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has menace. I think Hagrid Constrictor is the common that forms the background to the black-green +1/+1 counters deck. Any of your creatures that have +1/+1 counters on them are going to have that evasion that makes it really hard for your opponent to defend. When they do block, more than likely they're going to lose a creature. Kazandu Stomper, 6 mana, 5 into green, beast at 6/5. It has trample. When Kazandu Stomper enters the battlefield, return up to 2 lands you control to their owner's hand. This is a late game payoff for the white-green landfall deck. With the added lands in your hand, you can play them in subsequent turns and trigger the landfall abilities of your other creatures. Vanquish the Weak, 3 mana, 2 and a black, instant. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. Great common destroy spell in black. Gets rid of your opponent's early threat on the board, and in some cases, if they have an early bomb, Vanquish the Weak does the job. Seagate Colossus, 7 generic mana, artifact creature Golem Warrior at 7/5. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in your party. I think this card is a little bit of a trap. Sure, you may be able to get it out as early as turn 4 or 5, but it doesn't have evasion, and there are plenty of destroy creature or destroy artifact spells in limited. Ghoul-Draz Mucklord, 3 mana, 2 and a black, crocodile 2/3. When Ghoul-Draz Mucklord dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. I think this is one of the weaker commons in the green-black +1/+1 counters deck. You need it to die to be able to put a +1/+1 counter on another creature. Hagrid Constrictor is a much better common at 3 mana to fit into the black-green +1/+1 counters deck. Risen Riptide, 3 mana, 2 and a blue, elemental at 0/5. Whenever you cast a kick spell, Risen Riptide has base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. I think this is a pretty good card in the blue-green kicker deck. Early on, it's going to sit on the ground and it's going to clog up your opponent's attacks. Later on in the game, as you kick spells, you're going to have a 5/5 attacker. Murasa Brute, 3 mana, 2 and a green, troll warrior at 3/3. This is a pretty vanilla creature. It fits okay in just about any green deck, but it literally will be your last cut or maybe 23rd card to stay in your deck. First uncommon is Moss Pit Skeleton, 2 mana, 1 black, 1 green, plant skeleton at 2/2, has kicker 3 generic mana. If Moss Pit Skeleton was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, if Moss Pit Skeleton is in your graveyard, you may put Moss Pit Skeleton on top of your library. Moss Pit Skeleton is your typical black-green recursive creature. If your opponent deals with it, because you're in a +1/+1 counters deck, it's going to get on top of your library, you're going to draw it, you're going to play it again, and each subsequent time that you play it, it just makes it that much difficult for your opponent to deal with it. Relic Amulet, 2 generic mana. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard spell, put a charge counter on Relic Amulet. Pay 2 generic, tap it, remove all charge counters from Relic Amulet. It deals that much damage to target creature. Relic Amulet fits really well into the blue-red Spellslinger deck. As long as you include enough wizards in the deck, Relic Amulet has the ability to take out a lot of your opponent's creatures. Songmad Treachery, 5 mana, 3 and 2 red, sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. This is your typical threaten effect in limited. It's a little overcosted, mainly because it's one of the modal double face cards. It gives you an option either to hold on to it until later game, still one of your opponent's creatures, hit them with it, or in a pinch, if you need red mana, you can play the flip side and have it enter the battlefield tapped and have that mana ready for your next turn. Okay, will we get a great rare or mythic rare? We have Luminarch Aspirant, 2 mana, 1 and a white, human cleric. At 1/1, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. I think this is the second time we've seen this card in our bundle. Luminarch Aspirant is a strong card. Even if it's the only creature on the battlefield, it gets +1/+1. If your opponent can't deal with it, it's going to get out of control. Say you go Tricolor, go Obzon, Black-green is already a +1/+1 counters deck. Luminarch Aspirant is an accelerator to help that deck get off the ground and go. And then we have a full art Plains and one of our modal double-face token cards. Since I already did Luminarch Aspirant as a pack 1 pick 1 in a previous pack, this time around I think it's between Moss Pit Skeleton and Relic Amulet. I think I'm going to go with Moss Pit Skeleton. I had an opportunity to draft and play a Moss Pit Skeleton, and in fact, in that draft I had 2 of them. I've also had to play against it as well. It gives you options. You can either play it earlier in the game as a 2/2, you can play it later in the game as a 5/5. If you pack 1 pick it and build around it with +1/+1 counters, it's going to continually come back and create nightmares for your opponent. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comment section what was your favorite card or best card out of the pack. Until next time, when I'm back to crack pack number 9 from my Magic the Gathering Zendikar Rising bundle, and what is your pick?